The following episode may contain sensitive content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to The Show Must Go On. We gotta say it right away, otherwise we'll forget.
Yep. I'm
Yep,
Tracy.
every time. I'm
You know
Nikki.
that. Yeah.
It's been like almost 50 episodes. We still gotta say it at the top of the episode in case we forget, because the first half of all the episodes we forget
That's
until
true.
we're like halfway through it. Welcome
We'll
back,
get it eventually.
everyone. One more week of January.
Oh my God, this month is
Actually,
never ending. I know it's always like
yes.
that, but holy shit.
We are recording January, but this comes out in February. It just feels like it's been so long through this month.
So long.
Trace, have you seen like any of the nominations? Let's go over that real quick.
Okay.
Um,
For the Oscars?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Oscars, the SAG Awards, all of them. I'll still never understand Emilia Perez getting the most nominations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like doesn't register.
But we did talk about how I feel like the awards, especially Golden Globes and the Oscars, have become a little more political.
Politicized, yeah.
So it's like they're really trying to be like, oh, but like we're pro LGBTQ, we're pro, Latinx, we're pro, like all these things instead of like looking at the bare bones of the movie. Like, is it a good movie?
Yes. Yeah, because it is a good story, but
Yes,
the culture
the
is
execution.
misrepresented in all ways. Mexico is misrepresented. Oh,
Yeah,
excuse me.
yeah, for sure. So definitely confused about that it got so many. I can understand some of the performances, right? Like the actors. Yes, sure. But like best picture, things like that. No. No. Yeah. And there
Okay.
was stuff from like Golden Globes that didn't receive Oscar nominations. Like I know like Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl.
Uh-huh.
Angelina Jolie for
Angelina
Maria.
Jolie, and there was one more actress that I was like, wait.
But I don't know, also it's like
It's only
they
5
have,
though.
I was gonna say they have less because I think Golden Globes they usually are, it's like 6 to 8. Like it feels like a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they really have to narrow it down, which I get.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so there were a few that didn't get nominated because I feel like the Golden Globes sort of set everything up for like how the rest of the awards
They are like,
season's gonna go.
what's gonna happen? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we have our disappointments, but it is what it is. It's just hard. Like, don't make a fucking movie if you're from
Yeah.
France and you don't know the Mexican culture. Don't do that. Don't. It's it's a little disrespectful too.
1,000%. But hey, let's see. It might not win just because it won in the Golden Globes.
Fingers crossed.
So
Arms crossed.
toes, everything.
Toes, legs. Okay. So, guys, we have a guest today. We're so excited. Finally.
It's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming, but okay, so let me tell you guys, we've tried to have her for so long, and our schedules just wouldn't fucking work, And this last time,
stop being so busy.
I know, right? And this last time she said, if if I'm not able to make it to the recording, I'm just gonna lay on the street, which I thought it was fucking hilarious. I was like, we'll find a way to make it work. And then, stars aligned. Actually, they didn't align really well in the last like 10 minutes. We were struggling with technology, but
Oh
they
my God.
aligned.
My bad. My bad.
That's okay. That's not your bad. That's
Technology.
technology bad.
But I felt like a boomer. I was like, oh, I don't know how to do
My God,
anything.
that's a bad feeling.
The worst. The worst.
So, the stars aligned for this movie, and I think,
Perfect.
this is
Yeah, I think
our
that's what
guest today is a podcaster too, and she is one of those people that keeps it honest, and talks about all these topics that the movie, talks about. So first I'm going to introduce the guest, and then we're going to talk about the movie that we're discussing today. So our guest today, which we are so excited about, is Lisa Gilmore. And I'm going to say who you are, Lisa, but let me know if you don't like any of these terms, I like to keep it, I don't know. So
Ooh,
Lisa
I trust you.
is, okay, good, good. So Lisa is a Miami-based influencer, but she's actually from Costa Rica. She's also an entrepreneur, and she's the voice behind Unwinding Podcast, which is such a good podcast. And I've been a guest on it. She's also the founder of Emma Club, her own jewelry brand, and she brings styles and authenticity to everything she does. With her fun-loving personality and genuine charm, Lisa is one of the most refreshingly real voices online. And I'm saying that honestly. Captivating audiences with her unfiltered takes, infectious energy, and entrepreneurial spirit. Beyond her success, she shares a beautiful bond with her mom, Maria,
Oh.
which is the queen that we all love. And I had to, I
Oh
love
my gosh,
Maria. I've
she's gonna
always
die
loved
with the
her.
shout out. She's gonna die
Yes.
with the shout out because I
That's
always
cute.
saw her like, I think we should switch because I feel like she was made for the spotlight. She loves the camera. She loves it.
She's such a queen. And even when I've known Lisa for like 6 years, 5 years. And I think when I met you, even a few months later, I met your mom because she came to a
Yeah.
cycling class. And right away, I was like, she's a fucking angel. Like,
Yeah, she's so
protect her
cute.
at all costs.
I
Like,
know.
I
I
love
know.
her.
I hate when people meet her and then they like her more than they like me. You know what I mean? Always.
Oh. Oh
Always.
no. Maria is taking that spotlight. Maybe we should have had her.
Oh,
So
she's down to yap whenever you want. Whenever.
Oh. Actually, no, we met now. Can you like call her? No, I'm kidding.
just bring her in real quick.
Yeah.
I'll
I'm
just see
teasing, I'm
myself
teasing.
out. I'll give her a call. It'll be fine.
Okay, listen, so did I miss anything else? Should I not call you an influencer? Because I know there are people that are like, I'm not. And I'm like, well, you influence me to do stuff, so, you
I
know.
appreciate all the words. They were so sweet. I always say to people, I think I'm a really bad influencer because I think I also think everybody has a different definition of influencer, right? Like when you hear that word, there's some people that already have an idea of what that
Yeah,
means. And I
yes.
feel like I don't fit that idea.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I try to describe myself more as an entrepreneur and a podcast host. I don't think I'm a very good influencer. You know what I mean? But like,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, because everyone has a different definition. But I think your
That's true.
introduction was
I
so beautiful.
Thank you. And I 100% understand what you're saying. Also, there's like a kind of, it's not a stigma, it's like what we kind of
Yeah.
all see of
Yeah.
influencers. But when I say influencer, I actually mean it because sometimes you've done stuff like when you get your nails done, I'm like, I gotta make my appointment. So you like influenced me, to like do something that I had to actually take care of. So it's an influencer in a good way in this situation.
Love.
Yes. But now that the stars actually really aligned, I wanted to, I've been wanting to review this film for a while. I saw it I saw it in December, I want to say. And then because I saw it was available to rent. And I've been wanting to because Demi Moore was getting a lot of like praise about this movie. And then after that, I was like, okay, maybe I should just rent it. I watched it, and then I made my boyfriend watch it. And uh I thought the message of this movie and how strong it is and how complex it is, it was great to have someone like you, Lisa, who talks about things like this on your own podcast in our podcast. So today we are discussing the film The Substance, which has gotten so many awards, and I'm so excited. I mean, Demi Moore, hello, she deserves everything. So
Yes.
it's the story of Elizabeth Sparkle, renowned for an aerobics show, faces a devastating blow on her 50th birthday as her boss fires her amid distress. Uh, Laboratory offers her a substance which promises to transform her into an enhanced version of herself. So, I want to hear everyone's opinion, and it doesn't have to be too long because we're going to go over every single thing.
Yeah.
But let's start with Lisa.
Yeah, I want to hear what Lisa has to
Lisa
say.
literally, she told me that she just finished watching it.
Watched it like
I
an hour
love it.
ago. So
I
she's
love it.
fresh. Okay.
Yes, love it.
Before I give you my take,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I'm so honored to be here and thank you so much for working with just like I know we rescheduled so many times and most of them were
Yeah.
my fault. So I'm so grateful that we finally made it happen and I'm so
Yes.
excited to get into this movie. So if I had to describe this movie to my best friend, I would say I felt like it was a disturbingly accurate depiction of what it can sometimes feel like to be a woman. And I felt like it was grotesque, very graphic, a bit slow at times,
hmm
but I thought the underlying messages were so loud and clear.
hmm
That's like my initial reaction.
Love that. And I just want to point out, before Tracy gives hers, that the director of this movie is a woman,
And she
which,
wrote it.
and she wrote it too. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I
I didn't know
think
that.
that could never happen if it was a man doing this. Like this kind of like visual and
Yeah.
making you feel things. It would have never happened if it would have been a man
Hmm.
doing this film. What do you think,
Agree.
T-Bone?
I mean, yes, agree to all of that. I think yes, because it was written and directed by a woman, that it just perpetuates the story even more, and just the images too. Um, Honestly, I was ill the whole time. I I wanted to throw up a few
Yeah.
times. Not gonna lie. I watched it by myself. I was gonna watch it with my mother, and I am so glad that I didn't, because I don't think she would.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think she would
You
like it
wouldn't.
at all.
Mm.
And I was in my room watching it, and I'm going, oh, oh my God, and just yelling the whole time. Good thing I didn't see it in the theater. People would have been like, shut up. But it's honestly the most disgusting movie I think I've ever watched.
Yeah.
But also like in the most creative, visceral, just amazing way, because the story is so good.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's necessary
Yeah.
to have all of that to, I think, like really pound it
Yeah.
into you, but like also gross.
It's
So gross.
very, very, very gross. Very gross.
Oh
I
my
looked
Very
away more
gross.
than
God.
once. I was like,
Oh,
I'm not seeing this.
Yeah.
through the fingers a few
Yeah.
times. I was
Yeah.
like,
hmm
oh God, but we'll get there. So yeah.
Oh God.
Yes.
So I loved it. It yeah,
Mhm.
it was really gross, but I'm not I've never been like faced by that. So I'm like, whatever, you know, it is what it is. And I also feel like in my head, I'm telling myself like, oh, it's prosthetics. Like it's not, you know, it's
Yeah.
not real. Like I'm constantly having to tell myself that so I can like keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
But I think it's so raw and honest. And I also feel like and we brought that up like a few weeks ago or like recently. Oh, well, a few weeks ago with Emilia Perez. I love when they give us a new story. Give me something new, give me something fresh. And for example, with this one, it's something that's trendy. You know,
Mhm.
it's not something that's old, it's not a cliche, it's not none of that. It's real, you know, and obviously it's the story is fiction, but still like it's one of those things that make you think, but while also, you know, watching a new storyline completely and something that you've never even thought of. Like the creativity of this plot is insane. You know, like I I keep thinking, how the fuck did she come up with this? You know? Like
Yeah.
what inspired her? And I'm sure Tracy's gonna have probably some information about like fun
Mhm.
facts she does at the end of the episode, and she'll tell us like a little bit of like, you know, the costume, the prosthetic, like the makeup and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Like I can imagine writing that and thinking of the actors, like, oh, how are we gonna do this? And writing those ideas down. Like I always go like, oh, what was she doing at that moment that that came to her head? It's so interesting to me. But I fucking love the movie. I watched it like now for like a second time. I didn't finish it, but I needed to refresh because I watched it in December. I was like, I need to like kind of like see the timeline again and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into it.
Oof.
Let's just go over the beginning, you know, like they introduce us to the character Elizabeth Sparkle, which is played by Demi Moore, which I love that this is her comeback, you know.
Mm.
And she's so beautiful too. Oh my
So
God.
She
beautiful.
looks amazing. She's
Yeah.
60.
And
First
she's
of all, she's
playing a
60. She's playing a
50-year-old.
50-year-old, and she also doesn't even look 50, in my
No,
opinion. Like,
no,
okay, I'm sorry. I'm just
I'm
gonna
so
cut
good.
to it and like say really quick that the fact that her character, so she does this like aerobics show, and she looks fucking amazing. She's wearing like little leotard and the leg
Uh-huh.
warmers, and then like 2 seconds later she gets fired, and they want to go for someone younger. And in my head, I'm like, are you kidding me? I right now aspire to look like that
At that
because
age too, right?
yes,
Yeah.
because it's like we all age up, obviously, like we're all going to get older. So if I can look like that when I'm 50
Mhm.
plus, oh my God, like
Sign me up.
I don't want to see like some little twig who's 18.
Yeah.
Because of course she's going to have perky tits and like a nice ass. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
gravity is still on her side.
Yeah.
So like I don't I just it's but that's the message obviously.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
way that society puts pressure on women, and it's like once you reach a certain point, you're out,
Yep.
bring in the young and
You can't
new.
be Leo DiCaprio's girlfriend anymore after like
Yeah.
you're
23.
That's so funny.
you're 26 years old. The cutoff
Too
is
old for
25.
Bye. The
Leo.
Yeah.
cutoff.
I
Bye.
saw this birthday cake, and I think she was turning like 25 or 26, and her friends wrote on her cake, too old for Leo.
That's
Oh man.
perfect. That's
Yeah.
so
It's
good.
true
That's
though.
so good. Oh my gosh. So yeah, they introduce us to her and it's like they're filming and that it's her birthday and you know, I feel like in the first like 10 minutes we know where this is going. You know,
Mhm.
which I think it's so hard for some films to do nowadays. I'm like, just get me in the story right away. Like they go around characters for way too long, you know, and I love that it took me in right away. I'm like, oh, she's getting fired. You know, what were you gonna say, Lisa?
I was gonna say, I felt triggered many times in this movie because this is something I've always struggled with, right? Is just the ultimate pursuit of beauty
Beauty.
and body image and comparison and all this, right?
Mhm.
So there's so many times where I felt triggered, but I remember at the beginning of the movie when she's watching TV, or I don't remember, I just watched it. How do I not remember this? But the question is presented where it's like, have you ever thought about a more beautiful version of yourself? Have you ever thought about a younger version of yourself? And heartbreakingly, I feel like I can confidently say that every single woman I know, their answer to that question would be yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
it just goes to show, like, I think our Roman Empire as women, huge generalization, I'm not saying this is it for everybody, is looking more beautiful or looking smaller or looking better. It's always about the physicality.
Always.
So
Always,
when you were
always,
saying, like,
always.
I love how it threw me into the movie right away, that's when I knew what the movie was gonna be about when
Mm-hmm.
they asked
Mm-hmm.
that question.
Yes. Yeah. And also like in that whole thing where she's getting fired, I just gotta give this to the director. The way it was directed when the her boss is like eating and you can like hear every
Oh, and the close up on his mouth, and
very,
he's just
very disgusting,
disgusting.
you
Oh,
know? And also it's like it kind of shows you like the opposite of who she is. You know, she's this fitness instructor and she keeps herself she gives me like a Virgo vibe too, where she's like really like, everything has to be like
Regi
organized and clean
regimented.
and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So in that sense, I was like, oh my God, like this lady put together completely. And then we have this disgusting guy firing her and fucking eating, and we can hear everything that he's chewing. It just like what's
I
it
feel like
called when you see
it
like the
speaks to
opposite sides?
I think that
Mhm.
also speaks to the power dynamics that we see in Hollywood, right? Like, I feel like now we're getting a
Yes.
lot of glimpses of, well, over the years, we've been getting a lot of glimpses of some of these really disgusting men who
Mm-hmm.
are in positions of power and who get
Mm-hmm.
to do these kinds of things to, let's be real, mainly women, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that those moments in the movie, like, are so that reminded me of just, unfortunately, some parts of Hollywood.
Yeah. And then he like fires her and then he just keeps going about life. He's like, oh, like I saw somebody. Bye. Good job. I'm gone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's just left there, with that disgustingness, you fucking basically to clean up the mess, pretty much. Thank goodness they were at a restaurant. And then, she goes and you can see the pain because she also hears him in the bathroom before. So she knows this is
Hmm.
about to happen. And the way he talked about her,
Yeah.
fucking nasty,
Mhm.
disgusting. He was talking about like when the eggs start dying or something like that.
But
Like
it's like it's nothing as women we haven't, maybe personally we haven't been said those things, but it's nothing that we're all shocked to hear because we know
yeah.
that some person at some point in some world has said these things,
Yep.
or that some people still abide by these mindsets. So it's not even
Hmm.
like shocking. It's just like, yep,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Hmm.
we have expiration dates, or we've been
Yep.
told societally that we have expiration dates.
Hmm. And you see her like process all this information and um what is it? She gets into that car accident and that's when she
Hmm.
goes to the hospital.
Hmm.
And in the hospital, they're still reassuring her how good she looks because they're telling her if she didn't work out, you would have had broken bones,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and still she is so heartbroken and she like breaks down over there. And then we see that fucking random looking guy with like perfect skin that gives her
Little
that little
twink.
card. Yeah.
Sorry. He's like, you're a perfect candidate, just like squeezing her spine. I was
Jesus
like, the
Christ.
fuck?
Yeah. Um, I always think of how it must, like, when you choose roles, how it must have felt for her when that, script came to her. And, because she was saying, when she accepted the Golden Globe, that she thought she was done, that she had like kind of made peace with the fact that she wasn't going to work anymore. She's like, maybe that was it for me, because nobody was offering her anything, and I feel like it goes to what you were saying before, Lisa. It's like, for actors and actresses more, there's always like an expiration date. It's like, those were your golden years, and that's it, you know? Now it's open a little bit more to, and they're creating like older characters, opportunities getting created.
And I do think that there are women who are older who look amazing. They're in their
Amazing.
50s, 60s, 70s. Like, I mean, fucking look at Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
In her 80s, and she looks amazing. And like, she, like, Grace and Frankie, if you haven't seen it on Netflix, such a funny show, and like, it's just so good. I
Yeah.
mean, you have
Jean Smart
Helen
in
Mirren.
Hacks. Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren looks amazing. She looks better in a bikini than I ever will. My God. So but I'm just saying, like, you have like these older women who are such good actresses, and like they have aged well, and like they've taken care of themselves. So it's like you kind of hope that whole idea of, oh well, you've reached this expiration date, that is sort of like becoming passe for Hollywood, that they're not really like allowed to do that anymore. But
And then, that's when she decides to do this, to give this a try. And I think that's also when she sees that video that says, like, did you ever want to be like your younger self, and, a better version of you, but younger.
Well, but in the ad, didn't it say something like the new Elizabeth Sparkle? So it's like, oh,
maybe.
Shit,
I
like
remember.
the new me.
Oh yeah, because they were looking for hiring her replacement. Yeah.
Exactly.
And it was like ages 18 to 30.
Right.
And of course, just re-emphasizing that verbiage of when women turn 30, that's it. They're done.
Yeah.
They're done for.
Yeah.
The stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, but that we've all heard. And that now that I am in my 30s, I'm like, wait, that wasn't true. Wow. Crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
And she goes, I always think of when she goes, gets the substance after she sees the video, and she's like, okay, let me like give it a try. And I'm a chicken shit when it comes
I would not have gone in that place though either.
Well, yeah, that's like number one thing. I would never, like, I see the place, I'm like, there's no way I'm walking in there,
I'm getting murdered. Like the rolling door didn't even go up all the way, so I wouldn't even bend down to get in.
Yeah.
So like, I'm out.
Which I feel like it shows you so much about how desperate her character is.
I was gonna say at some point, like, I remember being 17 and hearing about the Special K diet. Did anybody remember that? Where it was like, if you just eat Special K all day, you're gonna lose so much weight. Mind you, I had no fucking weight to be losing. And I was like, I'll do it. Like, it's just like the shit that we will do sometimes because we think that's gonna make it better. And that's actually one of the moments when she does pick up everything and she gets, the packaging with the injections and everything. And another moment where I felt like, ugh, because one of the injections said other self, right? Yeah, the other self. It said on it.
Yeah.
And it triggered me again in a way, because I feel like for so long and for so much of my 20s, I was always feeling like the better version of me or another version of me was somewhere else. It was like, I need to do X, Y, and Z, and then it's going to be better.
Yeah.
And so even just with the verbiage, maybe I'll, I feel like we all pick up different things in TV shows and movies and books. And a lot of the things that make us feel uncomfortable, it's because we're not healed in some area. And so those words, even just the words, I was like,
hmm
you know, I felt
Yeah.
that. I felt
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And it's also like it's true what you're saying. Like for me, it's like when I actually sent you and Joe a picture recently, um, of like how many years ago was 10 years ago the picture
Oh
or
my God. Yeah, it was 10
and
years.
I was looking at the picture and I was wearing really itty bitty shorts. And we were at a Disney park, and I looked at the picture, and the first thing Giovanni says, he said, "Oh my God, so skinny."
That's
Like
what I
he
thought. I
was
was
so
like, oh my
skinny,
God.
and he
Me
said like
too.
that shirt would fit in
One leg.
in one of my legs now.
One leg.
And then I said like, "Oh, look at me,
Oh,
no
yeah.
spider veins,"
Hmm.
which like now that I think about it, in that moment in my 20s, I was still searching for something for my, to be my best self, still physically, you know. Still it wasn't enough. And I remember one time you told me, Tracy, I was showing you a picture, or I sent you a picture, and you told me, you were like, I can't believe I thought I was fat,
Yeah.
because we're never really satisfied
Yeah.
with, with where we are,
Hmm.
rather than like taking a moment, breather, wait, look what you have, be grateful for it, but yeah, and basically I sent that picture, and in like 5 minutes, the three of us destroyed our present selves, destroyed completely. We said so
Hmm.
many things in a seconds. And I was like, oh my God. Like now that we're talking about it, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like we need to stop doing this shit, because that's why we will never feel satisfied, you know? And that desperation from this character, Elizabeth Sparkle, is all of us, you know, even the gays. You know?
Yeah.
And the other thing that I was gonna say, I'm a chicken shit, because like it took me like 4 or 5 places that I went to for my Botox to like be like going consultation. I don't know how I feel until I found the like one that I was like, this is where I'm gonna
Yeah.
go. I trust the doctor and all this stuff. And this bitch just put like a full-on like IV situation, you know, like blood to blood from her other self to her. The whole thing of like sewing the spine in the
That part
back.
was, I didn't need that. You know what I mean? That is so
Yes.
fucking graphic. Like, that
It's
was my
also
least
like
favorite.
the sound does not help, because
Yeah.
this, by the way, the sound engineer, whoever it was,
No, incredible.
Mm.
chef's kiss, like
When
they did
you
an
have
amazing
to,
job.
when you feel physically ill and you have to look away, they are doing an incredible job with the
Mm-hmm.
imagery, with the sound, with the effects,
Yep.
with the
Yep.
filming. It's storytelling at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
Like a work of art, truly a work of
Yep.
art.
Yeah. Because
Hmm.
honestly, I feel like it wouldn't have felt that gross if we didn't hear that, but we
Yeah.
could hear the whole thing, and I was like, this is nasty as fuck right now.
Did
But
anyone else
also,
think of, sorry, what were you
go
gonna
for it,
say?
go for it.
No, I was
No,
gonna
I
say,
was
did any,
just thinking like her, like who came up with like coming out of the body,
Oh my
like
God.
like how do you come up with
so
that?
gross.
Yeah.
Did
Oh.
anyone did
Hmm.
anyone think of something about it being a weekly situation made me think of Ozempic? Did anyone
Oh,
else think about
yes,
that?
yes. I thought about that too. I
Yeah.
thought about that too. I was like, oh, so like Ozempic, like you have to take it on a weekly
Once a week.
basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought
Mm-hmm.
it was interesting when you said like this is something trending. I was like, it is something trending. And you know what else is trending? Something else that people do once a week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's also, I feel like the trend, I always say it trend, but also like our the way that we communicate with each other now, we're so exposed with social media that, like Botox has always been around now, but now we know more about it, and
Yeah.
and,
It's
like and
destigmatized.
Yes, and that's why, like, when I mean like trending, that's what I mean by it.
Yeah.
But kids nowadays, like the 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds, they look way older because they've already gotten so much done already, so early. And I'm like, why
Yeah.
does that girl look my age? Or do
I
I look
also
that
think,
young?
yeah, I also think with social media. So it's like
Hmm.
you're exposed to how
Too
other
much.
people look
Yeah.
and like especially your age. So it's like you sort of want to grow up before.
Yeah.
Because like I mean,
Hmm.
when we were growing up, we didn't really have social media. So like in middle
I'm
Yeah.
so
school,
grateful.
I'm
yeah. Oh
so
my
glad
God, we're
to.
like braces. I mean, I don't know, yeah, braces, glasses, like like that was
Yeah.
me,
Hmm.
And then you see 12 year
Same.
olds now and they're like doing their TikToks and they're all sexy. Like, no way was I doing
Yeah.
that at all. I mean, I'm still
Hmm.
not,
Yeah.
I'm still like, but just without the braces. Yeah, so I feel like social media has made kids
Yeah.
grow up faster too, especially when it comes to the standards of like
Hmm.
beauty
The
and
beauty
how to
standards.
look, which is
Mhm.
just so sad. Like they can't be kids, just be kids.
I think
Yeah.
it's rough, and I'm very grateful that I didn't grow up with so much information. I still had so many struggles though, because I got the information in a different way. I got it from the
Mhm.
Victoria's Secret fashion show or from 17 magazine or whatever it is,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So I
true.
think there's always a way where we're going to be receiving some
Exposed.
sort of
Hmm.
messaging.
Yeah.
I will say something that and I agree. I don't think we're destined as humans to look at ourselves this much, to look at everybody else this much, to have this much information. I just don't think it's normal.
Yeah. I,
The
I I
one
agree
thing
with
I
you.
do love about social media in terms of the standards of beauty is we see so many different more kinds of beauty now. Before we only saw
Mm,
one kind of beautiful, that's it.
Hmm.
If you didn't look like that, it wasn't good enough. And
Hmm.
now, thank God, as it should be, there's
Hmm.
so many different kinds of beauty that are amplified and shown
Hmm.
to kids growing up. That is something that I do think is like so valuable and important. But again, it's in the midst of way too
Yeah.
much information
Yeah.
coming from everywhere, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
And
it's true.
I didn't realize, I mean, I know it affects my mental health, but like, in the past 2 weeks with the change of government and all this shit, like the way social media is affecting me mentally
Yeah.
is just
It's so
fucking like
much.
I have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
purposely, like I have to
Limit.
consciously be like,
Yeah.
no, get me out
Yeah.
of here right now because
Mhm.
it is like I get so upset throughout the day. I'm like, I have to like make an extra effort. And that's one thing that thank goodness it's gonna be temporary, but oh God, like
I know.
I think you're right. We're not meant to absorb all this information at all times and all kinds
Mhm.
of information too, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so we that's the we get the birth of Sue, literally the birth through a bat, uh, which is so
Ooh.
fucking graphic.
Yeah.
Um, she comes out and is Margaret Qualley, which this girl. Have you have you guys seen the show Made?
Incredible. I could not. I was sobbing every single episode.
Every episode. This girl, I'm so excited for her future as an
Me too.
actress. She's
Yeah.
so talented. We also
So
saw
good.
her in the movie with Emma Stone.
Kinds
Uh
of kindness.
Not well, she is in Kinds
Oh,
of Kindness, but the other
oh,
one with the same director, the one that Emma Stone won the
oh,
Oscar
poor things.
for Things. And she also did an amazing job there. She's just so fucking good.
Yeah.
So good. And she came from dancing. Like she was a dancer. Her parents are like actors, but she was a dancer,
Mm,
it's
right.
just she always amazes me and I love seeing her on the screen, and I also love that she's not like a red carpet person. You rarely see her, I feel like she's really focused on picking
Of
good
course.
roles, and doing like really complex roles and movies. So
Yeah.
we see Sue coming in with her body. By the way, because I've seen her in so many things already, I know she has like no breasts. So when I saw it, I was like, damn, like the prosthetics look good.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know they were fake.
They're fake.
I had no
Yeah.
idea.
They look amazing.
Fooled me.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, whoever fucking did this was beautiful work.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, the prosthetics in general for this movie, amazing. So a nice pair
Yeah.
of tits. Let's go.
yeah. Yeah.
Can they do
She
that for
looked
me, please?
And like it's so funny because she comes out and the body's like super oily right away. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, the amount of things that they're like trying to express with this film. Like she's like a newborn baby.
Mhm.
Um, and right away, I I love that they tell her, they tell Elizabeth, like, remember, you're one. You're the same person,
Mhm.
you know? Like you got to make it work. You're the one person. It's not two different people. And that shit just goes to hell right away. Because I
Well, I
feel
think
like,
it's the literal price of beauty.
yeah, I feel like she falls in love with a person she's not,
Hmm.
you know? She's like, oh my God, like she can't get enough of the younger version of herself, you know?
Yeah, I think it touches so many themes. I think it shows like addiction in a way of becoming
Mm-hmm.
addicted to like
Mm-hmm.
certain things, right? We can
Yeah.
become addicted with wanting too much of something, of
Yeah.
who- always wanting more for our body. I think it highlights pretty privilege with Sue,
Mhm.
especially when the guy, her neighbor, like knocks on the door because it's loud and he was gonna yell at her, but then he sees her and he's like, "Oh, never mind,"
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Because
Yep.
pretty people
Um,
get treated better.
like it's so
Mhm.
fucking real. It is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a thin
Mm-hmm.
privilege, there's a pretty
Yeah.
privilege.
Mm-hmm.
The body checking. I think
Mm-hmm.
when Elizabeth, this is something else that I was like felt that she's going on the date and she is checking body checking or just overall checking herself in the mirror and like keeps going back and keeps going back and keeps going back. I've had that
That
happen to me
scene.
so many times where I'm like, let's say I'm going on a date and I like my outfit, I feel good, I feel confident, I'm ready, and I keep, maybe I got ready too early and I have this time and I keep
Oh,
going back
that's
to
the
the mirror.
worst. Yep.
I know how my brain is. So I'm like, if I keep going back to the mirror, I will find something new that I
Mm-hmm.
don't like. You find what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And when she was doing that in that scene, I was like, that's so real.
Yep.
It's girlhood. And I'm not saying,
Yeah.
I also do want to say, I think these themes are so connected to women because women primarily deal with these
Mm-hmm.
things, and the language and the verbiage is more directed to us, like that's just a
Yeah.
fact. But that's not to say that men don't have these struggles, because they do.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just,
Yeah.
I don't feel
It's
bad for
it's,
them
it's
because
different.
we know what I mean, like we have it, we have more shit to deal with, so I don't feel bad for them, but I don't
We're
Right.
want to
second class
negate.
citizens. We don't even have control over our reproductive rights.
Yeah, I just don't want to negate that this is an experience
Yeah.
that only affects women. But
Right.
like I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
I don't feel
Yeah.
bad for you. You know what I mean? Cry
Yeah.
me a river. I don't feel bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, dude, you don't have to sit down to pee. Like, enough.
You don't get your period every month. Like,
Yeah.
you
Like,
don't have to
come
worry
on.
about getting pregnant. You don't have to,
Yeah.
like, there's just, and the pressures of society about
Yeah. That's what it is. I
being a
think that's
certain
what it
way.
that's the hardest
Yeah.
part, I really think, is the ageism, the
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
pressure, the
Mm-hmm.
biological clock, the beauty
Yeah.
standards, the comparison, all of that.
Yeah.
That
Right.
shit is not fun.
It's so
Right.
not fun. I
Yeah.
also, I wanted to talk about that scene a little bit more because I feel like that scene is like the center of the movie, and how after she got a little taste of what would be like her other self, her younger, better self, her
Pump it
her
up. You got to pump it up.
her
Something about
present
the
That
self,
song.
Yeah,
it's such a good song.
it is.
Her present self is not good enough anymore, you
Yeah.
know? So because she would look at herself, she would fix herself, but then she would look at the other self, or which she would look at Sue, and she's like, no, like just looking at her other self was just really dragging her down.
Hmm.
But I also wanted to just touch base a little bit on, we see Sue rise, and kind of like which Sue is Elizabeth, same people, get addicted to, her younger self and, go past like one day of the 7 days and the effect that that has on the present self, like the
Yeah.
actual
The finger
Elizabeth,
and
the
yeah.
finger. Uh, Disgusting, by the way. And then
And it only gets worse.
It only
and
gets
it
worse.
only
Sounds
gets
bad.
worse. And it's also like it just shows you it's so many messages because it tells you you're one person, like you're the
Hmm.
same. Like stop going against each other, which is also that internal conversation that we have with ourselves that we're not satisfied with, you
Mm,
know? Like you look in the mirror, you're not satisfied with it. And I'm thinking about my younger self, or I'm looking at my younger self, you know?
right.
So I think that was such like a moment for that because even when she tries to stop it when they ask her like you want to stop, she's like no,
Hmm.
and she's looking like shit.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, I don't. Like, I don't want to stop. So I think it's a beauty addiction at that point. Like it starts, feeling good, getting attention. And then it's just like she's addicted to, and
Mhm.
so much that it has transferred to her other self that her other self is not letting her come back because there's still one person, you know? And I think it just says so much that that both sides of her just want to be the one,
I
although
think
it affects
it
so much what the present self is.
I think it speaks to how dangerous it is to need to feel validated
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
and not be able to give yourself that validation because had
Mm-hmm.
she had a strong sense of self and a foundation of worth, having a strong self-worth, which in
Mm-hmm.
turn, I know people use self-worth and self-esteem interchangeably, but they're actually completely different.
Yeah.
And both of hers are non-existent. Let's be real. She has no
Yeah. She has
self-worth. Her
zero.
her
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem is so low. And so at that point, all that's filling her up is the validation that she's getting elsewhere,
Mm-hmm.
externally. And
Mm-hmm.
so, putting your worth in the hands of things that are tangible or like things that you can't hold
Mm-hmm.
on to, like your body's going to change all the time. If
Mm-hmm.
if you only feel worthy depending on the size of your jeans, you're leaving your worth in the hands of something that is going to change all the time, that's going to fluctuate all the time, and something that
Yep.
is has nothing to do with who you are as a human. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's like a dangerous game to play. So I think it speaks to that need for validation, which I think in some way, I always would talk to my therapist about this, and I think it's normal in some way that we want to feel validated from other
Mm-hmm.
people. Like, I think we
Mm-hmm.
don't exist to be alone in this world, that
Yeah.
there's a reason why the happiest people have strong, healthy relationships is because
Yeah.
we exist to be in community, right? Like the
Yeah.
community can be one person, what
Yeah.
two friends, one friend, it doesn't matter. It's not about the quantity. So I
Mm-hmm.
think to some degree it's okay to need that and want that, but that can't be where you get your source of value. And that's what we see
Yeah.
with her.
Yeah. And it's so funny that you touch base on that because and I'm skipping a lot right now, but I just want to point out that that scene closer to, the horror, the chaos, when she's about to terminate her younger self, she sees the flowers and it says, they are going to love you.
Yeah.
And that makes her change her mind right away. And it's that because she feels validated
She's like, okay,
from,
good. Phew.
yeah, yep.
Also
Mhm.
because when they let her go, when they fired her, and they said they used past tense in whatever they wrote, they said like you were amazing.
Oh, yes. Yep.
So also that juxtaposition of like
Great
Past
point.
and future.
you're yeah, like Elizabeth, you're out of here, you're by,
Hmm.
and now we're
You
in the
were and
present.
you're
Yeah,
gonna
were
be.
and are, so like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like zooming in on that too.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I picked up on that, but
No, that's a great, great highlight. And you think about how much she gets so obsessed with her younger self that she just starts taking everything out of, from her present self. She
Yeah.
starts taking everything out of her, like she completely drains her. And
three
then
months.
and then it's surprised by the disaster that it made. And you know what made me think about? All these celebrities that we see on red carpets that have done so much shit on their face that
Yeah.
look awful because they became pretty much addicted to it,
Addicted. Yeah.
And
It's
I
so
feel
real.
like that was such a representation of that she
Hmm.
took so much out of it that when she came out, the real self, it was a fucking disaster.
Something else that, rewinding a tiny bit, I know we're talking about the end, but something else that I like made a mental note of is, and I just was reminded of this when you were talking about the picture that you sent to your friends and like the messaging that
Yeah.
they then sent back to you. When Sue is giving one of the workout classes and she looks in the camera and she's like almost wrapping up and she's like, and just remember to take care of yourself. And in my head, I'm like, it's so crazy because how hypocritical is she, first of all, saying that? She
Mm-hmm.
hates herself, yet her job is to look
Yep.
beautiful and to help you
Yep.
feel beautiful and look beautiful. She's telling
Yep.
you to take care of herself, of yourself. Meanwhile, she literally cannot stand herself and is
Yep.
quite literally crawling out of her skin.
Yep.
And it
Ugh.
just reminds me of like so many times when, you know, it just goes back to the wording of it all for me, where sometimes you will compliment someone and tell them like, wow, you look so good, or you look, and I'm so sensitive to this because I think when I was at like my worst with my relationship with my body and not taking care of myself well, and I looked a certain way because I wasn't doing it healthily,
Mhm.
but it's like the most compliments I ever got. And it's like you never know what you're complimenting when you say these things to people. She doesn't, and the words behind what she was saying to the people watching her class were completely empty as well. It's just like
Mhm.
it's so fucked up. Like it's just
Yep.
a mind
Yep.
fuck. I
Yep.
don't even
It
know how those
it's
two are connected, but it made me
no,
think of that.
I get what you mean, and it is definitely a mind fuck because
Yeah.
it's basically maybe they're like for her, she was like, oh, I'm just saying what I'm supposed to be saying. And I also feel like we not anymore because people are speaking about it more, but people are so comfortable talking about other people's bodies.
Yeah.
I'm like, you gotta be. And like, now that we have social media, they hide behind that screen and they're just like commenting and commenting. And I'm like, get a fucking life first. If you are just come and good or bad, just don't
Yeah.
comment on people's bodies. It's you don't know what they're going through ever.
Well, even but when you were saying like you sent that picture and your friends were saying like, "Oh my God, you look so skinny." Like I would never say that to you.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because it's like, what am I implying with that?
Mm-hmm.
Eh, You know, it's just I think the words that we use, we have to be so careful because well,
Yeah.
look how that made you feel. You felt like shit, right? Because you were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, were." you were.
No, no,
Now
no.
what?
He said it to himself. He's like, I was so skinny.
Oh,
Yeah, but
oh, I
still,
thought he
I
was
get
saying it to
exactly
you.
what you mean. No, no, no. It
Yeah.
was like a picture of the three of us, and we all destroyed
I thought he was saying it to you, and I
ourselves.
was like, I would die. Like,
No,
you know?
no,
Oh my
no, 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 no.
God.
No, he said
If
it to
we said that,
himself.
drop us. We're not your friends. That's fucking
Yeah, we
terrible.
would
I
have
would
attacked
never.
him.
Yeah. Oh
But
my
still,
gosh, no.
even that, it's just like,
But
oh,
we
it's
destroyed ourselves right
yeah,
away.
yeah. The
The
with the
three of us.
wording. Yeah. It's like,
We all said something about our own selves, and I was like, "Oh my fucking God!" Like,
I think
Yeah.
it's
It
also
wasn't like, wow, what a fun time we had. It
yeah,
wasn't a
well,
no,
memory of us
that.
being there.
It's that, like, the only thing you're remembering about that in that moment was the way your body looks or comparing it to
Hmm.
how it looks now. But like,
Yeah.
hmm
we are in completely different moments of our life, in completely
yeah,
different seasons of our life, with completely different needs, doing completely
hmm
different things. And I
hmm
think something that, hopefully, God willing, if I have kids, when I have kids, I will always speak to them in a way where I don't know how I'm going to say it, but just to make them understand that your
hmm
body is going to change
yeah,
and it's okay. It's
yeah,
not going to look the same
hmm
throughout the years. And
yeah,
I wish that would have been more normalized to me, because when my body did change, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I thought it was
hmm
bad. It's not bad,
hmm
it's just different,
hmm
you know?
yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I completely agree. And also for her age in the show, in the movie, like she's already superior. The character is already superior. She's a 50-year-old that looks amazing still,
Yeah.
you know,
It's still not good
Yeah.
enough.
but it's still not good enough. It's like she loses her identity
Because
Hmm.
she's
with
been told it's not good enough
Yeah.
too. Because
of
like
that.
that's the
Hmm
yeah.
And that's her only anchor, is what people are
hmm
Yeah.
giving her or telling her or showing her.
hmm
She's not
Exactly.
anchored in herself, you know? Even them casting her is a message, because I think
Mm.
we can all agree, objectively, she's beautiful, a
Yeah.
beautiful woman,
hmm
iconic. She's,
hmm
like, has been like a sex symbol and like a woman to
Yeah.
emulate and through the years and everything. And still she's stunning, and
hmm
still it's not good enough.
hmm
Mm.
hmm Yeah, 100%. And let's talking about that, the not good enough, she becomes like that obsessed that she doesn't really kill her. And then something that is not supposed to happen happens. And both of them, her younger self and herself, are like up at the same time, which I was not expecting. I remember I was like, no. And you
Mhm.
know that the crazy part that like I'm the whole time you're telling yourself, no, yeah, they're one. And it's like in my head, they're separated already,
Yeah.
you know, because they become so different. And we see that whole fucking scene of, they're fighting and, her like bashing her face in the mirror and um her younger self kind of like losing her marbles and becoming somebody else completely because her body is shutting down basically.
Hmm.
And it's like if you if you can't take care of this person, you won't be able to exist,
Yeah.
you know,
The consequences of.
of your fucking addiction.
Hmm.
Uh
And I guess it's like how much she just hated herself too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like she wanted to
yes,
just
because she's seeing
kill
herself
her.
and she's like,
She did
yeah.
not want to exist in her current body or
Right.
self whatsoever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. That part was gross.
So gross.
Just like
Well,
when she's
I
like,
like
think
kicking her over and
it's
over.
like it's a deeply sad movie, to be
mm-hmm,
honest.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
I was like crying, not just because I was like
Well,
disgusted, but
let's talk
also I was
about
like,
also
this
the
is
fact
really
that
sad.
they were in the category of comedy.
That doesn't
Yeah,
make sense to
I
me.
I have no idea how that happened.
Yeah, me either. They were in that category, which was so weird to me.
Right. Because also it's like technically horror.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't laughing.
I
Mm-mm,
didn't
Yeah.
laugh
never.
once.
Right. So yeah, I wonder how they figure that
Yeah, I don't know why they, for me,
are in
it
that
was a
category.
drama. And also
Yeah.
I just wanted to like touch base real quick in that monologue that she has in the kitchen while she has her fucking disaster going
That's
on.
why she won the Golden Globe.
I thought the same thing. I was like, this is the monologue where she got the award because
Yep.
this bitch goes fucking crazy. And she's like, you fucking better say it. And like it's the makeup people, beautiful
Insane.
work.
Give
But
them a raise.
yes, yeah. But like the
Yeah.
way she fucking like her switch that you see from like Elizabeth Sparkle at the beginning of the movie to this fucking crazy old bitch, you know? And she's like screaming and like eating everything on purpose, you know?
Right. She's not
To
taking care
fuck
of
her,
herself.
yeah, to
She's
fuck her
eating like a
younger self.
slob. Yeah.
And I love that she's like grossed out by it too. She's like, oh, like when she's making it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is why she got nominated and this is why she won because
Yeah.
how like beautifully done. And I cannot imagine how tiring is to
Yeah.
play something like that physically, like the
Emotionally,
hunching
everything.
over the
Yeah.
leg, aside of like all the emotional part of it, the physicality of it
So
probably
true.
was so much like you go home and you pass out.
Yeah.
And I know that the makeup, it was like hours,
Mhm.
For sure.
hours for everything, like all her little transformations.
For sure.
Um, but then, we see our girl Sue go to her show and she's falling apart, her New Year's Eve show. Her teeth are coming out. Um, and it's just like the sound engineering again, because you hear the way she pulls those teeth and the way they
Oh,
land in the sink. Like you hear the nail stuff. I was like, who
with
fucking edited this? Like, this is just so well done.
so good. But also like with the teeth, because it's so funny because then Dennis Quaid and like with the stockbrokers and like all those guys, and they're like, oh, give us a smile. And
Smile.
meanwhile, she's like got no teeth. So
Yeah.
she's like mouth
Hmm.
closed.
Yeah.
And it's like, because I can't tell you how many times, especially in New York, walking around, I had random men tell me to smile.
Yeah.
I like dozens.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that part for me was triggering because I was
Yeah.
like, it brought me back to like so many times. Like I can
Yeah.
tell you one
Men love
time,
saying that.
especially specifically, I went to Philly by myself for a weekend just to like check it out. And it was winter, it was freezing. So I just went inside like a mall type area just to like
Mhm.
warm up a little bit. And I was just like when I think about things, I furrow my brow. And I was
Mhm.
going up an escalator, minding my own business. A gentleman was coming down the opposite way. He looked at me. I could see him like out of the corner of my eye. So I looked at him and he goes, smile, bitch. Yep.
Bro,
Wow.
the
Yeah.
disrespect.
It's like I'm not
Yeah.
even shocked. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
that
So
checks
this
out.
is, yeah. So like this is the shit that women have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Every
yeah, he was
day.
like, oh, give us a smile. So just that, like, how important that is too, what we
Yeah.
consider like
Mm-hmm.
people like your
Yeah.
teeth and like that's such
Mm-hmm.
a core
Mm-hmm.
part of like beauty
Mm-hmm.
too. So for her to like lose her teeth and just everything's crumbling
Falling
around her, yeah,
apart.
the ear.
Oh my God, I
Everything.
forgot about the ear because she like holds it in her hand. Oh God.
I
You
looked away
know,
a lot here.
I just
Not
gotta
gonna lie.
say, like, there were moments that I
Yeah.
was like, she's not gonna be able to get home, but she would be able to get home. I'm like, there's
Hmm.
no way. Like her body's like falling apart
Crumbling.
and she crumbling. But the fact that she gets home and is still like, she's still not giving up. She's
Hmm.
like, I'm just gonna find a fucking different way to make
Yeah.
myself beautiful.
Desperation
And whatever
again, like part
comes
two,
out,
2.0.
yeah, it's like act three, more
Yeah,
desperate.
right.
And whatever comes out of that, that's a fucking monster,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
you know?
Because she
It's
thinks that it's
like,
going to be a better version of her,
yeah,
but it obviously totally backfires.
but very, very bad. And and also the fact that you can still see both of their faces in it.
Oh my God. And like Demi
You
So
Moore
know?
on
gross.
her back with I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yes. Um, and that's basically pretty much, you know, that end of that movie, you know,
Well, when
how
she like cuts out her face to like put the poster of like Elizabeth Sparkle over
yes,
her
yes, yeah,
and
yeah.
then goes back to do the show.
Like that's gonna cover it.
Right.
So ridiculous. She puts that earring on, which that was the
Oh my,
moment I actually laughed. I was like, and then I started laughing. I
yeah,
was like, there's no ear there.
right.
We're
Then there's
just
an
like
eye
putting
close to her eye.
it. And then she just goes to her show thinking
Yeah.
everyone's gonna be like, yeah, great. And that the guy, maybe that's a comedic thing, maybe. You know, the guy is like, oh yeah, finally you're here because of the headshot that stuck to her face.
No, I know. I was like, dude's
With
getting
the fucking
fired.
blue dress on. Oh
Right.
my
And then
God.
like weird tit sticking out. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
her boob is hanging out of the dress. She's not ready.
But also like once
She's
she's on
broken.
stage, yeah. Once
Literally,
she's on
yes.
stage, a boob comes out too. You know, it
Oh,
like blobs out.
almost threw up.
Yeah, that was nasty.
That's pretty gross.
But then like, you know, I think it was very like at that part I was like the fiction here is just like to another level because
Oh
then
my,
like all the blood
her
splashing to
arm
the
falling off
audience,
and she's
her
spinning
arm.
around in a circle and the blood's going
Yeah,
everywhere. And I was just
yeah,
like, oh my gosh.
a
But obviously,
disaster.
like the message behind it all, like it's not
Mm-hmm.
just like gore for gore's sake. Because like that's
Yeah,
why I don't like a lot of slasher movies. Like they just
yeah.
do it just
They don't
for the
have like a message. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So this was like it was gory as hell, but there's a message to it.
yeah. It's like you
But
see her
woof.
facing the consequences of all of her actions, you know,
Yeah.
in a few
her
fucking
her
months,
it's
you
like
know?
her greed of wanting to be
Totally.
perfect,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like it really backfired on her.
It
I
really
would say
did.
so.
Oh, sorry.
And I also I also like it that it took us back to like the beginning, you know,
Mm,
where
The
yeah,
star.
the
yes,
star we see, and only her face makes it there. Oh
right.
my God, that show was nasty and crawling.
Yeah, I
It
think I'm
gets
gonna have
all the way there.
nightmares thanks to you guys for making me watch this movie.
I'm so
Sorry.
sorry.
Well, I'm
Listen,
right there with you. Don't worry.
I just thought like I was like, you know, Lisa's gonna have like a good input on the message of this movie, you know.
Mhm.
And I always know you kind of like touch base on stuff like this when it comes when you talk about it on your podcast and how,
Yeah.
you know, we're not perfect, but we don't need to be that fucking thirsty, basically, you know. Um, I want to know because I know Tracy has a few fun facts.
Mhm. Yeah.
Before we do our recommendation corner. Basically, after the fun facts, we will let the listeners know if they should or shouldn't watch it.
Okay.
So give us the tea, Trace.
All right. I thought this was actually really interesting. So I'm weird. I watched the credits all the way through. And then at the end, they said thank you to, and they do like certain people and places and stuff. And then it said thank you to Ray Liotta. And I was like,
Oh,
that's so interesting.
he has a lot of
So,
surgeries.
the fun fact that I have is that Ray Liotta was originally cast in the film in February of 2022, but he died
Oh,
that
yeah.
May.
Yeah. Mhm.
So Dennis
Was he
Quaid,
gonna play Dennis Quaid?
yes, so Dennis Quaid replaced him.
I just gotta say, Ray
So
Liotta had a lot of shit done on his face.
he would have been really good in
I don't
that
know who
part
that
too.
is.
He
I'll look him up later.
You'll probably know, like once you see him, you'll be like, oh yeah, like you've seen
You've
him
seen
in
him
in
in a
stuff.
lot, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But honestly, like he had gotten done a lot of stuff on his face.
Especially toward like as he got older.
Mm-hmm.
too. But he would have been really good. But that was why, because I saw that and I was like, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so yes, you did say this, that Margaret Qualley said in an interview that those breasts were not her own.
Oh, she did say it?
Yes, so they are prosthetics. Um, Demi Moore said she was nervous about filming full nudity at age, she was 59 at the time, and she felt really vulnerable. But she credited co-star Margot Qualley with making her feel comfortable on set.
Oh,
Yeah, Qualley also performed totally naked, so she was naked,
Mm-hmm.
except for the bibs. That's her not
Yeah.
wow.
Her boobs were covered by prosthetics.
there. But the rest of her looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh shoot, sorry. Okay. Demi Moore said that reading the script for this movie reminded her of the script for Ghost because the chance that it could be amazing or a disaster were the same. That was crucial for her
Wow.
to accept the role. Isn't that so interesting? I
That's so
love
interesting.
Ghost.
Ghost is man,
Classic.
making
Yes. Molly, you in
yeah.
danger, girl. I
Yeah.
love it. So good. Demi Moore wasn't poorly Fagiat. I don't know. She's French, so forgive me.
Oh,
Um,
her last name.
yeah, well, the writer director, Demi
Director.
Moore was not her first pick. So during a meeting in Paris, Demi gave Coralie a copy of her 2019 memoir, which then convinced Coralie to cast her due to its depiction of her relationship to her body during the early and peak years of her film career.
That's
And Demi Moore
insane.
has been very open about, like, I think, what was she filming? Like Clear and Present Danger, or like one of those
Mm-hmm.
movies in like the early 90s. And she said that she would bike to the studio and it was like, I don't even know how many miles.
Mm-hmm.
And like she wouldn't eat, like, yikes.
Yeah, I heard about that eating disorder she had for a while.
Right. Demi Moore stated that for the full mirror sequence she did, that it was at least 15 takes for each scene.
My
And
skin.
at the end of the day, her face was raw. But I mean,
Ugh.
like, even with the lipstick, when she's like, "Ugh," just like scrubbing it off, hell yeah.
Also, like, imagine like filming that and then okay, clean it up again,
Eh, yep. Take
put the
two,
makeup
take
on,
three.
take two. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, but she did that so good.
Because it's just so relatable.
It's she did an amazing job.
Mhm. The phone number that's on the substance, like little
Yeah.
thing that she gets from the nurse or whatever. So the number was 555-0199 is a famous fictional number that appears in many films. So an example is that it was in American Beauty.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Love that.
Oh my God, this. Okay. Dennis Quaid ate 4 pounds of shrimp during that restaurant scene.
Ew.
And I'm just gonna give you like a quick little insight, Lisa.
Yep.
So when you go to acting school and there's like scenes that you have to eat, you can't really take a big bite. Like you gotta take the most like you cannot get full.
Yeah.
So you have to even with water, you either pretend or it's like a really,
Mhm.
really tiny
Right.
sip of water.
Yeah.
So I can't fucking imagine how
Ew.
filming
4
that was because you
pounds.
also gotta get like zoom into his
Because
mouth.
he was like, "Mwah, mwah, mwah," and
Yeah.
talking and like the oh, that scene was so good though. But
So
yeah,
well done.
4 pounds.
That's a lot.
The movie was filmed in France. So obviously Elizabeth's view that she has of LA is just a photograph background.
Okay.
Interesting.
Damn, I really thought it was filmed in LA.
Yeah, same.
I It was pretty convincing. Uh, I thought this was interesting. This is the first body horror film ever to be permitted to screen in Vietnam, with only 1 minute and 30 seconds being cut.
Wow. Okay, Vietnam. We see. We
We
see
see
you
you.
guys we getting a little progression there.
Hey, progress, right? The red hallway in the TV studio, that's a reference to The Shining.
I thought about that when
Same.
like at the beginning. I didn't think about it later. I was like,
Uh,
this looks like The Shining.
well, especially at the end, because with all the blood on the walls, I was like,
Oh,
whoa,
right. Yeah.
sure, because there's a scene with the elevator and the blood comes out.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, according to a making of featurette, the director said that she used her own arm for the shots showing the substance needle being injected. So
Wow.
that's her, like getting the
Wow.
needle in there. Uh, the first episode of Pump It Up is an homage to the music video Call on Me, Call on Me,
I
which,
love that song.
right? That's what
Have
I
you
kind of
seen that
got the
video,
vibe.
Lisa?
No.
Oh my God.
Like
That's the
literally, because
first
it
thing you're gonna do after we stop recording.
look
It's
it up
just,
because costumes,
it's exactly
choreography,
like that.
shot composition, like all of it.
I'll
So
look.
And
yeah,
I always wonder why they chose to do the video like that. I'm like, what was the
right?
purpose of this?
Yeah, showing off bodies.
Yeah.
Um, the movie received an 11-minute standing ovation at the 2024 Cannes Film Festival, which is the longest of all films shown at the event.
Dude, that's so long. Like, I don't understand
I
Yeah,
the
that's
standing
crazy.
I
ovations.
know, I know,
Like,
me
I would
neither.
be like
But
1 minute, I'd be like, what are we doing? Are we done?
Yeah, I would be
Like,
tired.
Emilia Paris got like 10 minutes, some shit like that.
right,
So
which that's
crazy.
why I'm like the fact that this got 11, Amelia Perez got 10, but then I'm like, there's a disconnect there.
Yeah.
Amelia
Oof.
Perez should have gotten one,
If you
but
ever watch that, Lisa, let me know your thoughts.
please.
As a Latina woman, let me know your thoughts.
I know I've been like on the fence about if I want to watch it or not.
Just so you know, it's a musical because a lot of people start
Mhm.
watching. They're like, I didn't
Yeah,
know it is a musical.
yeah,
The story is interesting, but
yeah.
nothing
Mixed
else.
reviews. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, this is the seventh horror film nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture. The first film nominated was The Exorcist in 1973, Jaws in
Fire.
1975, Silence of the Lambs in 91, Sixth Sense in 99, Black Swan in 2010, and Get Out in 2017. And
Wow.
only Silence of the Lambs has won that one Best Picture.
Mhm.
Oh my God. Margot Qualley confirmed that she was inside Monstro Alyssa Sue prosthetic makeup. So she is in
She
it.
uploaded pictures on Instagram, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" I
Yeah.
hadn't watched the movie yet. She was like, "Happy Halloween." It's like her hand, and like the
Oh,
whole thing.
I love it.
We'll put
Well,
it on our Instagram.
please, yeah. Well, so that really is her. It took between 5 to 6 hours to put her in the full bodysuit. And she said it was torture, but she enjoyed getting to act the sequences out.
Wow.
For Demi Moore, the prosthetics took between 6 to 9 hours to apply, and then they could only work for a few hours because, like, the types of
The time.
prosthetics and stuff that they
Mhm.
use.
Wow.
Um, yeah, they were really
9 hours.
delicate. That's insane.
Half your day getting ready.
Yeah. Okay, then this is a little bit the director just talking about some stuff. Okay, I'm sorry, these are long. So, speaking about the New Year's Eve sequence at the end, she said, "The audience for me represents society. I depicted Elizabeth's genuine dream, which is to be loved by those people for who she really is. Having this explosion of blood and guts was a way to externalize the violence that I feel all those gazes and this beauty pressure put on us. It was a way for me to splatter it in the face of the audience to say, look at what you're creating. You are responsible for this explosion. Only I feel like she'd say it more French.
Yeah. That's interesting.
By the way, the director, Corley, operated the hose herself, and they sprayed 30,000 gallons of blood
Wow.
just in that sequence alone.
Imagine being an extra in the audience.
No, I hope they paid those people like a little extra.
You know they don't pay a lot. I did an episode of
I
like
know.
SUV, and it was like running. We had to. I was a high school student. We had to run. It was a shooting,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so tired by the end of the day from the amount of running. It was just insane, and that did not increase our pay. It was the same shit.
That does
I
suck,
know.
actually.
It's sad.
Okay, I'm almost done. So the birthing scene, if you will, Corley said that was the most important scene of the film for her, that it was the first scene that came naturally, but it took a long time to write. She wanted to make something that without one word would be immersive and propel the audience into the story. So it had to be done in a very intense way so the audience would have the key to enter this world. Each piece was very important. What she was going to show, what she was going to hide. And it took the most time to prep and shoot. They had to deal with prosthetics, fake bodies, creating real light, the tunnels, fire shots, the POV cameras, filming through a mirror, which she says she wouldn't recommend, which I mean, it's
I
not
thought
easy to
about it
do.
when they show her as an old lady. I was like, we can't see any cameras, and it's through a mirror.
Yep. Yeah. They created 2 separate bathrooms. So it took about 2 weeks to shoot. And then I thought this was cool, like the close up with the eyes when you see the like iris splitting. Those had to be done with multiple different cameras. So they had to stitch things together and like the effects. So, yeah. But I mean, that was really important for her because she said it was the emotional core of the film. So, which, yeah. Okay, last one. Oh my God, I thought this was really funny. So Demi Moore transforming into the grotesque creature that she became, the team nicknamed her Gollum.
I see it.
Right? It's very accurate, but damn.
It's
Yeah,
so good.
I see it.
That's
Uh,
really funny.
so the guy who did the makeup said that the original designs were very masculine, but Coralie wanted something more feminine than just a rubber monster. She wanted to have an elephant man sensibility, but like with a tragic quality. Also, they had a stunt performer for the end when she's like on stage. And it was really hard to move in the suit. So they had to put them on a little trolley to move them around. And when they switched on the blood rig, I guess for the arm, that she went rolling backward. She was like,
Oh no. The
terrible. That's
blob.
scary. Yeah, for real.
Oh man, that's really
Oh,
funny.
sorry, that
Well,
was a
thank you
lot,
for
but
that, Trace. So let's go over it. Lisa, 2 thumbs up or you don't know how you feel?
Are those my only options?
Well, no, you have all the options, however you want. We just
Like, do you,
usually say that, but whatever you want to say.
like, I don't think I would tell my best friends to watch it because I don't think
Okay.
they would enjoy it.
Mhm.
I think they would be like, oh my God, that was so graphic, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
However, I think because I was watching it trying to get the message, that's why I enjoyed it so much.
yeah.
So overall, I think it's a work of art. Like, I think it's an incredible
Yeah,
movie.
it's a good
There's
film.
so much behind it. It's so powerful. If you're
Hmm.
really not just watching it, but trying to understand what it's trying to tell you, I think
Hmm.
it's incredible.
Hmm.
I don't know that I would watch it again necessarily, or that I would have watched it on my own, you know?
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
because I'm like, my taste in movies is shit. Like, I don't, I watch like, I love like terrorism movies. And I mean, not saying those are shit. I'm just saying, like, I'm not watching these like
Yeah,
award-winning
yeah,
films.
yeah,
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
yeah,
Like, it's different.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
With all of that to say, I thought it was incredible.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
2 thumbs up, I think.
yeah. 2 thumbs up. It's a good
Yeah.
film. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Go
What
ahead,
about
Nikki.
you? Oh, okay. I give
Yeah,
it
go ahead.
2 thumbs up, like big time. I fucking loved it. I love the performances, the director, the cinematography, the sound, like no notes on anything.
Yeah.
It was perfection. Really well done. The message was delivered. Everything. There was not one moment that I was like, oh, that was bad. No.
Mm.
Was I grossed out many times? Fuck yeah, but that was the purpose of it too. So,
Right.
2 thumbs up. I do recommend to my friends. I don't give a fuck. I'm like, enjoy.
Just have a barf bag right next to you. It'll be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. Or just get a little drunkety drunk and be like, what the fuck is going on?
For real. I echo that for sure. I think this is definitely, as you said, Lisa, a work of art. Beautiful movie, cinematography, direction, like performances, everything's great. Love the message. I probably won't watch it again. I just don't do body horror. I think I've learned that about myself. It's like in like deformities and like metamorphosis, not my jam.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you like that sort of thing and you can handle it,
Yeah, yeah,
then definitely watch it. I would recommend it for
yeah,
sure. Two
yeah,
thumbs up. Yeah, like it was an excellent movie for sure. Like I'm
yeah,
not gonna deny that. Like it was
yeah.
Mhm.
perfect. I hope it wins all the Oscars, especially for makeup. God.
Yes, yes. And also Demi Moore. Like,
Oh, of
please
course.
book her. She needs more
Yeah.
of this work. She's so talented.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Rotten Tomatoes score for this film was 89%, and the audience gave it a 75, which I think is low for the audience. And then IMDb gave them 7.3 stars. IMDb, I don't know if you know this, Lisa, but IMDb is a tough bitch. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know who's voting there. We don't know, but they're always like 5 or 6 stars. I'm like,
Mhm.
why?
And it's like Oscar-winning
And it's
movies,
like
and you're like, what the
really
fuck?
good films.
Yeah.
So yeah. But that's it for today. We just wanna let the listeners know, where can they find you, Lisa?
They can find me at or on Unwinding. It's like
Mm.
wine, the pun, no pun
Yeah,
intended.
yeah.
Unwinding Podcast. There's a new episode every Tuesday, and on Instagram, TikTok, and that's it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you
Thank
for
you so much for
judging with
having
us.
me.
Yeah,
Thank you
this was
so much
awesome.
for
Thank
having
you,
me.
Lisa.
Like, we're so happy that you were in
I
this
I am
Yeah,
episode.
gonna have
this was
nightmares
perfect.
because of both of you. So
I know.
that's you can take that up with God, okay?
Okay,
But
just like shoot me a text when you wake up. Like, I'm not okay. I'll be like, you'll be
no, I
okay.
I love that you chose this movie for me, like for us to talk about, but I know you were like, I know these themes are things that you don't shut
Yeah,
up about, basically. And it's
yeah,
true. And I
yeah.
really did. The messaging was amazing. And I really
Mm-hmm.
don't think I would have watched this film on my own. So I'm so grateful
Mm-hmm.
that we did this.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank
being
you.
in the show.
Of course.
And that's it. That's pretty much it for today. Subscribe, rate, review, all the things. Tell your
Five
friends, tell
stars
your
only.
enemies, tell
Your
Lisa's
enemies,
listeners, tell their
not your
friends too.
enemies.
Your enemies too. We don't care.
I always say 5 stars. If you're not going to give me 5 stars, no reviews
No.
necessary. Thanks
Yeah,
so much.
exactly. If you have bad comments, just save them for
Keep
yourself. You
them.
don't have to
Yeah,
write them
didn't.
down.
It's like what they taught us in kindergarten. If you have nothing nice to say,
Don't
don't
say
say
it.
it.
That's true.
Exactly.
Well, you could still like download the episode and listen just to give us the
The
Yeah, of
listen. Yeah,
course.
yeah.
the
And then
listens,
if
but
you
you don't
didn't
have to
like
respond to
it,
anything.
if you
That's
didn't
fine.
like it, then just move
Yeah,
on with your life. It's totally cool.
exactly.
But thank you so much for being here, Lisa. Thank
Thank
you guys
you.
for listening. And that's it. Thank you for judging with
Yeah.
us.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Thank you so much for
Goodbye.
having me.
Bye.
Bye.